Hey everybody, this is Tracy with a view from Tracy's Point, and we're here to recap Married to Medicine Season 4, Episode 13, which was titled The Devil is Busy. So in this recap, we're going to talk about Toya and Eugene meeting with the accountant and also hosting a housewarming in their new digs, and battle of the relationship conferences between Lisa Nicole and Dr. Heavenly. And Dr. Heavenly and Business 101, she must have missed that class. So let's go ahead and get started. Toya and Dr. Eugene are meeting with their accountant, a guy named Warren Lee, and they need to work out a repayment plan for the IRS. So he's had them do a budget. So when Toya turns in the budget, the guy is looking at them like, no, this isn't going to work. And Toya was like, oh, should we make our expenses higher? And Dr. Lee is like, no, you guys are living too absorbent and we cannot present this to the IRS. So he's like going over the budget, and one of the things was they spent $1,000 a month on groceries. 2 adults and 2 small kids, and y'all eating $1,000 worth of groceries. Well, Dr. Eugene clarifies and says that it's actually wine is the bulk of that. And so Toya says that they drink about 5 bottles of wine per week. I think she said, I'm like, Lord have mercy. And so Dr. Eugene says that, he's willing to give up his Porsche, which I think was a good gesture. But I'm like, dang, why do Dr. Eugene always have to be the one that's sacrificing everything when he's the one that's out there working and making all the money? And Toya just sitting back, living lavishly, talking about her and her friends go out to lunch and order champagne and lobster, and sometimes she has to foot the bill. I'm just like, girl, please. But y'all keep playing around and y'all gonna be just where Teresa and Joe Giudice were in prison. Maybe y'all need to go meet with them, like I said in the previous recap, and find out just how real this thing is dealing with the IRS. But Eugene, you keep on letting Toya get you deeper and deeper into debt. So then Dr. Heavenly goes to visit Dr. Simone, and when Dr. Simone opens the door, Dr. Heavenly is coughing, and Dr. Simone made some comment about Dr. Heavenly better not be coughing at TB or something like that on her. And so Dr. Heavenly says that she probably sees more patients with TB than Dr. Simone does, because Dr. Simone is up people's butts while she's actually in their mouth. So I guess the germs come through the mouth. And so Dr. Heavenly's going on and on about Lisa copywriting the event and how she was right to pull out for that reason. And I keep saying it's not copyright, Dr. Heavenly, it is trademark. She trademarked the name of the event. So then we go on to Mariah and Lisa Nicole, and they're out, to have tea, and it turns out the tea is on Heavenly. So Mariah asks her about, trademarking the conference. See, Mariah knows that it's trademark and not copyright. And Lisa Nicole says that she did trademark the name because it was something she was planning before they decided to do the conference. And then she also says that she learned about Heavenly's event when she heard the interview that Heavenly did on the radio. And see, in my last recap, I said is the reason we didn't get the inside look at that interview was because Heavenly was in there promoting her own event. So now we know that that's exactly what she did. So Mariah tells Lisa, how Heavenly was getting all the ladies to join her conference. And Lisa says that she talked to Simone and that Simone had agreed to come to her conference. But when Dr. Simone and Dr. Heavenly were discussing the conference, Dr. Simone says that her and Lisa are not friends, and so she has no obligation to Lisa. And then Mariah, you were right on point, because she says that Simone goes whichever way the wind blows. Well, as far as aesthetics goes, Lisa Nicole's event, looks much better, more professional, more put together. And I don't know if Heavenly was like at a school or something, because she had these white plastic chairs that looked like the chairs we used to sit in when we were in elementary school. So I don't know what that was all about, but hers definitely looked thrown together, whereas Lisa's looked more polished. So now for the relationship conferences, there are a lot of women there alone. At Dr. Heavenly's, there were a lot of women that were alone, but at Lisa's event, it seems like it was a lot more couples, I should say. So then we kind of like go to some of the women and their comments that they're making. And Janice says that Lisa started ignoring her text messages once she said that she was going to Dr. Heavenly's event. And then Dr. Jackie, she's being petty. She wants to punish Lisa for not bearing it all at her lookbook photo shoot. And I'm like, wow, Lisa had Michonne Evans and Lucinda Cross. So I was impressed because those are two people that I follow on Periscope. And they are always doing conferences. So as far as speakers, Lisa also one-upped Dr. Heavenly on that, because all Dr. Heavenly had on her forum was the people from the show, the cast members. And then they were like all squeezed together on this sofa. So that wasn't a good look. So it was evident that the two conferences drew totally different people. Dr. Heavenly's event was more relaxed and laid back, and she was joking, and they were talking about, going down on each other and doing anal sex and just all kind of stuff. And, it was a lot of joking and playing around. So it was a real lighthearted event. Whereas Lisa's event was more serious, and it was supposed to be, really geared towards relationships. But I think that combined, they probably had together like 150 people. So I think even if they had it together, but then I don't know, maybe a lot of people didn't show up because it was getting messy and all the back and forth and the splitting up, and some people may have just stayed home. So Dr. Heavenly's event, she was throwing shade at Dr. Jackie's marriage, which I thought was kind of like a low blow, because Dr. Jackie was there, but she didn't bring Curtis with her. And then Lisa, at her conference, she started talking about friendships and kind of like whining to her guests about, the split between her and Dr. Heavenly. And then Mariah, starts talking about how she can relate, and then she's throwing, Heavenly, throwing shade at Heavenly and how Heavenly handled the whole situation. And then I think at one point Lisa may have shed a few tears about the whole thing, but a couple of the women, they were kind of encouraging and letting her know that, once people show you who they are, take it for what it's worth. And I thought it was interesting because I think at one point when they were sitting down at the table talking, that was Lucinda who was sitting behind Lisa, but she was kind of turned to the side. Like, I didn't understand that, like, she didn't want to be on camera, or she was kind of like upset that Lisa was taking it there, was being unprofessional at that point. But anyway, it was what it was. So they had the breakout session, which was, Lisa talking to the ladies about friendship and how, Heavenly did her wrong. And then in the men's session, why did she have Dr. Darren leading the men's session? And then he brings up the fact that Lisa Nicole wants to have that baby and he doesn't want to have the baby. And I'm just like, Darren, why in the world would you do that when you know that this is going to be on camera? So the guys in the room, they seem to have been relating to Darren and, kind of enjoying, the dialogue that they were having. So who knows? So at the end of the conference, Mariah was in her confessional and she says that she really feels for Lisa because she's one step away from being booted from the group like she was. And so can somebody please tell me, why did Lisa Nicole have all those doggone clothes? She had like 2 or 3 racks of clothes behind a curtain at her conference. And so did they have a fashion show or something and it was just cut out? And I also think that the editing on Lisa Nicole's event was kind of done to make it look like there was nobody there and that the people was really bored, whereas when they did the editing on Heavenly's event, it looks like everybody was laughing and having a wonderful time. And so you never know what really happened at the event. So that's how the producers want to frame how we see the two events. Then we have Dr. Jackie, and she's getting all sexy for Curtis after, attending Heavenly's conference. And she's hired a personal chef, but the guy didn't come to the house and cook the food. He actually brought the food already prepared, and it was in like these little plastic containers like you get at the store. And so when Curtis comes in, she rushes the guy out the back door and then lies and says that she cooked the food herself. And girl, is there like aroma floating around in the air? Are there dirty pots in the sink? And and the thing about bringing in prepared food is that what if the other person wants an extra plate? Like, do you have enough to go and fix them another dish, Jackie? So hopefully, Curtis didn't ask for more. Then I thought it was really sweet because she had written a love letter to Curtis, and she read the letter, and it was really nice. And they both agreed that they need to do better in working on their relationship if it's going to last. So Toya, she's trying to talk herself into loving this smaller house. And like I said, they're having this housewarming barbecue. And I think the people, it was like a potluck housewarming, not sure. But Jackie's in the kitchen with an apron on and then talking about she's never cut a watermelon before and she doesn't know how to do it. And then Mariah arrives and says that the house is just a quick stop for Toya on her way to her next bad decision. Say what you want about Mariah. Mariah be having shade for days, and she be hitting them where it hurts, and so true and so on point on what she's saying, even though she isn't one of my favorite characters on the show. So Toya wasn't in town when they had the conferences, but she's repeating gossip and starting stuff, before the barbecue even begins. And then, by the way, at the end of Heavenly's conference, I guess they were like outside in a patio area, eating appetizers or something. And she tells the ladies that somebody had sent her a picture from Lisa's event. And then it was like an empty room. And so who was the mole in the room that sent that picture to Dr. Heavenly? Or did she like send somebody over there to spy on Lisa and report back to her? When Lisa and Darren walk in, Dr. Heavenly is already in attack mode. And so Mariah says that she can't wait for the food to be ready because she can't deal with a hungry Dr. Heavenly. Okay. So Dr. Heavenly, she just wants to set it off and be ghetto as hell. And, Toya pulls her out of the kitchen because she doesn't want them fighting in her new house. At least let the guests, come in, eat, have a few drinks, and relax, before you set it off, Dr. Heavenly. So Quad comes in and she's being loud and dramatic as usual. And I love Toya's backyard furnishings. I think that was a really nice touch. And then the other thing, I thought, okay, so I said in the previous recap about Toya and this house that was $8,000. So do you guys remember a couple of episodes ago where her and Eugene went and looked at this house and they said that house was $8,000? Is that the house that they moved into, or did they move into one of the houses that Janice had shown her? Because the house that they're in looks a little smaller than that house that they went and looked at. And plus, when Janice got there, she kept saying, just say thank you, Toya. Just say thank you, Toya. But then Toya was saying, I picked out this house. I picked out this house. So I couldn't figure out if it was the house that Toya and Eugene had went and looked at, where the people were still in the house and they just pulled into the driveway, or if it was one of the houses that Janice had actually shown her. So then we have, I think it was Quad, Dr. Simone, Mariah, and Lisa, and they're sitting in the backyard. And Dr. Simone, I don't know why you felt the need to ask Lisa how that conference went, but I guess we needed to set the argument off some kind of way, and that's how you guys were going to do it. But I think that you should just let it die. The conferences are over with. They both got out of it what they needed to get out of it, so let's just move on. But no, you have to be messy and bring it up. And then, when Lisa says to Dr. Simone that, the only thing that was missing was her girlfriends, that Dr. Simone just wants to turn the knife a little deeper and telling Lisa that she wasn't her friend. And I thought that was so tacky of you, Dr. Simone. And so then they get into, Dr. Simone's like, well, I don't, ever interact with you outside of this group. And we don't do lunch or anything. And then Lisa says, well, we have done lunch before. And she's like, oh, that was like 2 years ago. And I'm thinking, are any of y'all really friends? I mean, I know Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie are really friends, but seems like the rest of y'all just go as the wind goes. Like, oh, if this is exciting, we'll be friends this season. But if not, we're not going to be friends. And because remember at the beginning of the season, Heavenly and Lisa couldn't get from up each other's butts. And then let's not forget about Mariah and Quad and how they used to be really good friends. So friendship really means nothing on this show. Then here comes Dr. Heavenly and Toya, and I think at this point everybody was outside, but Dr. Heavenly, like, she is so intent on proving her point, and to me, her just like not wanting to let things go is a clear indication that she's probably the one that's lying in the whole situation. And I don't even think it's really about lying. What I truly believe happened is that Dr. Heavenly really isn't business smart, and she got into this thing with Lisa, and Lisa may have taken advantage of her knowing that she didn't have business sense. And so she got into this thing. She didn't, know what she was doing. She didn't understand what was going on. So we did get a playback where Dr. Lisa did tell Heavenly that she had trademarked that name. And that was in the beginning when they first were talking about the conference. So now we know that Heavenly lied about that part. But I just think overall that Dr. Heavenly didn't know what she was getting into. And Lisa probably took advantage of that, or either thought that Dr. Heavenly was a little smarter than she is. And rather than just let the thing go and let it die down, Heavenly is letting her pride get in the way, and she wants to prove to the other ladies that, she is smarter than what she is. And so they probably have no clue what went on behind the scenes. They probably don't care what went on behind the scenes. But the more Heavenly keeps bringing it up and talking over Lisa and yelling and screaming and carrying on, if any of them have common sense, then they know that Heavenly is probably the one that's telling the lie. So that's it for me. It really wasn't that good of an episode. I mean, it really came down to whether you're team Lisa or whether you're team Heavenly is, how you saw this whole thing. But I think overall, the concepts of both of their conferences were very good. But I think in the full scheme of things, neither one was well attended. Dr. Heavenly may have had about 20 people more than Lisa had. But at the end of the day, like I said, probably combined, they had a little over 100 people total. And to me, that's not really a huge success. So, what did you all think? And are you team Heavenly or are you team Lisa? I know everybody hates Lisa and wishes Lisa would get off the show. But just looking at the true picture from the business side of things, was Heavenly right or was Lisa right? So until next time, you guys take care and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.